Okay, just to run through Biu Gee. Cover over a little few points about why I do the forms the way I do the form, because I think it's important that every time you do any move, you should have some visualization in your head and some thought about what you're trying to achieve every single time you move. As a beginner, we start off with just sequences. Once you've got the sequence, then you start to become confident with the sequence. So you're not sort of you're not checking on every point. You know. So you know when you set yourself into a position, your position's correct. You don't have to look to see what you're doing. You can move with confidence from one move to another one. And all the moves are precise and defined. Then when we start building, let's check this one. Yep, still running. Noise came from, oh, it must be your somewhere the noise came from, I didn't know it was the camera and stuff. Right, so the next step that we'll go through, from knowing the sequence, having confidence in the sequence, is starting to think with the sequence. And this is what we mean by just by taking that bit more time. So the stop points can take a little bit longer in between, so you can give yourself more time to analyse and feel what's going on, to understand what you're doing. And every single move has its purpose, has a vision, and it starts developing some sort of knowledge around it. But you understand that the fist is more like a woo sound, it relaxes out as a man sound. In the last few centimetres it becomes a punch, hand opens, and you bend at the wrist and keeping the elbow straight to make this forearm tense, to circle the close, to strengthen the forearm, strengthen the fingers. I'm in control of my stance till I close it. So every single time we're going through the form, that's why I have in Suriname Chum geometric positions. Very strict control over the stance, posture and everything. So the movements are all horizontals, the verticals, right angles. And so what we're looking at is a position of perfection that can be focused on, that's easily seen to be a mistake if it is a mistake. So it's this idea that we have of looking for errors in our own movements, understanding the sort of like the movements and the techniques and the energy. So it's easier to understand the sort of like the details of the movements that's within inside the forms. The control that we're having, it's this idea of control. The understanding through knowledge of self. This is again, this whole way of when we're training ourselves, when we're using the form as a method of looking at what we are doing, having a clear picture in the mind what we are actually trying to achieve with something. Because I say we've gone beyond just as a sequence of moves, and it's gone beyond just sort of A, B, C and D. Each movement is a separate technique, each movement, because the form is there for you as a sequence to remember, and then you take it apart outside the form. When we start now getting the Biu Gee, we're more into there's a relaxation in the stance. And when we open the stance, it's the circle step that opens up, and the feet are not as stripped in, because our feet are now about understanding in a natural position, facing forward with two stances. So this is where one way it's changed. Also what I'll be going through is a slightly different way that I look at how we practice the form as well. So these are all different ways. I'll run through it next, and then I'll talk. Opening the stance, I'm just going to talk through the whole form, what you're actually looking for, what you're trying to achieve. Again, as I say, we're not into the formal opening of the stance this way with precise foot positioning and structure. It's a lot more relaxed, but now we're opening up with a circle step. So it's a circle out. We still cross down, left over right, and lift up and back. I just do it this way. I know there's other people who do other versions. I'm just showing what I do. So again, we're just there, nice and relaxed, out, around, out. Again, define your centre line. Fist into the Wu Sao position, Man Sao position. You punch, the hand now opens. Now what I do, I start it off. This form's called Biu Gee, so Biu Gee. Now without changing the arm, Biu Sao. Biu Gee, Biu Sao, Biu Gee, Biu Sao. To me, Biu Gee is the thrusting fingers, Biu Sao is the thrusting hand. So what we're looking at here is keeping the arm straight from doing the punch, opening the hand, Biu Gee. What you're trying to learn is to get the muscles here that are putting the energy into the fingertips. And the Biu Sao, we're understanding the muscles again in the forearm that focus the energy into this part of the hand, what I term the Biu Sao. So fist to centre, punch comes out. Fingers, hand, fingers, hand, fingers, hand. Circle around, this time hand, fingers, hand, fingers, hand, fingers. Flatten the hand, bring back, slowly close and back. What we're looking at again is this idea is to focus on the fingers, Biu Gee, Biu Sao, Biu Gee, Biu Sao, Biu Gee, Biu Sao. Circle, Biu Sao, Biu Gee, Biu Sao, Biu Gee, Biu Sao, Biu Gee. Flatten back, rotate, close and back. Why? I've seen variations on this. And again, going back to my mentality of how I think of the forms, what are we trying to do? We're trying to learn something that's new here. What we're learning at this point, we've done now what we're looking at are the muscles, we're learning that. That's why I don't want to involve the element. We've got this knowledge already from Chum and Chum. What we're looking at here is we take everything out, so we're looking at the muscles that focus and generate extra energy in the fingers and in the hand, in the fingers, in the hand, in the fingers and in the hand. So that's why I try to keep it simpler in the movements, so it's simple movements. To allow you to develop techniques that's useful. I mean, the application, what we're looking at, it allows you from here, you can shift to one to another. If I go to do Biu Gee to somebody and somebody stops my arm, all I have to do is I can clear that hand and change it to a Biu Sao. So on a Biu Sao, I can go to a Biu Gee. It's not the reason why we do it like that, but it helps so you can think that way. So after the Biu Gees, now we get into the next new thing, which is the cup job. And again, there are many variations, and I do it my way in particular, because what I'm looking to understand my elbow. And the elbow is like from here. What I'm trying to do at this point is get everything out of the way and try to hit and come down with this part of the elbow. So it comes up and down. So what I'm looking at is from here, my elbow is trying to travel in as straight a line as possible. So it's about coming up high and down. I have heard explanations that your hand covers around the ear, but I see a lot of the times when people do it, they end up in this position. And they're trying to stay, to me, in my mind, too upright. So when they actually try to come up and down around with the elbow, they're coming down with the elbow this way. Now what you're going to do is test. This part of the elbow is soft. What you're actually looking at trying to do is come down using this part of the elbow. So we're using the hard part, this part. So if it was horizontal, we're coming in this way, 45 this way. What we're trying to develop is an understanding of a vertical elbow dropping down and in. So it's this dropping down and in. So it's a term I use, I call it Quasimodo stance, because I'm not interested in my stance. My stance is not, I'm trying to gain flexibility in my shoulder. I need to try to develop this, so I've got a height, it's the height. So my elbow as much as can is coming down vertical, but it's coming down using the contact point. And then what it does, it drops in. So we've got this understanding of the elbow comes up, over the top, and drops in. This understanding of this dropping becomes very important. It's not just this. It is that. This is where also add in this fact, it's like when we do this part of the second form, there's a drop. Any energy that's dropping down, you want to add a drop in body weight. You've got to use gravity. It's an energy that's there for free, you don't have to do anything with it, all you do is have to utilise it. But from here, the elbows up and down. Elbow up and down, elbow up and down. From here, hand clears, view under the elbow, up, out. I'm just going to run straight through the form without talking about it, just to show the sequence. Obviously you have to give the right shoulder, I've got a full depth here of the supraspinatus, so I can lift the elbow from. Right, so open up, the thigh centre line, outer centre line, Biu Gee. Right, just to go over the elbows again. We've gone through the Biu Gee and the Biu Step. So this is where you get to this area we actually learn to attack with the fingers, and then that Biu Step with the hand. So it's the fingers, hand, fingers, hand, fingers, hand. When we're looking at this also, I said because also we talked about this, I've talked about it before the Biu Step, this small area here, and that's what we're actually looking for in the Biu Step. So Biu Gee and Biu Step. To me, this is where there's a link if you want to make it in that way. So like Wing Chun, there is knowledge of Dim-Mak in Wing Chun. So now with Dim-Mak, we're looking at precise, we're looking at small pressure point areas, small areas that are soft tissue damage and that cause internal bleeding, not internal injury. And this is what we're using fingers and the Biu Step for. Rather than a palm strike. This is the difference between a palm strike and a Biu Step. To me, that's why, I've mentioned before, but we're looking at the small area, so we're talking about a concentration of energy into this small corner of the hand, which increases the pressure. The problem is with it is that it's quite soft because it's a tendon attachment. So it's not for hitting into hard objects, it's for hitting into soft tissue, into neck, throats, and areas. So, Biu Step, Biu Gee, Biu Step, Biu Gee. You see when you see people doing the cup jumps, you see there's wide variations. The same, my preferred method is understanding this simple elbow. I'm looking at it, the elbow. This is the hard part of the elbow. This is a soft part of the elbow. This is the bit that we're catching, we call it the funny bone. If you catch that part, that bone there, it's very, very sensitive. There's nerves that pass under there. But here, this is the part that you use. Between this distance and there to there, I've gone through like 3 inches of wood. So I know from that distance, from there to there. What we're looking at is a flexibility of the elbow. So it's not this idea, as I say, that's why I call it, like what I said before, a Quasimodo stance. Because I'm not interested in my stance. My stance, in this instance, is not imparting any real energy to it. Because I'm trying to develop an understanding of a vertical, downward elbow. I'm getting the flexibility in my shoulder. I've got a straightening part of the elbow coming down. I'm getting my body out of the way so this can come down vertically. Once I'm hit towards the hitting area, then this part here is dropping to the elbow. And it's from here. Again, like with Wing Chun, it always goes on about the last few centimeters, so it's there. So it's this idea of like from here, it goes up, over the top, around, and down. And it's this action. When I'm hitting down, no matter what I'm doing with this stance, it's having no effect on this energy dropping this way, apart from if I drop my body weight into it, or I drop this shoulder into it. So it's about understanding body weight dropping, and how my shoulder can drop the elbow into the opponent, the target. So that is what I'm looking for. So I'm trying to get a flexibility on that. So again, I'm twisting all out of the way. So I look all twisted and then, yes, it's an exercise. This is not for application. So we have to understand that the forms are abstract and exaggerated movements so we can understand the body, muscle groups, the mechanics, the structures involved. So this is what we're looking at from here. So again, as we go through this, what else the form is teaching? It's teaching this area of we do things 3 times that become very important. So we're focusing on the elbow being this new weapon of use. And then what we're doing once we use this, the Biu Step to clear the elbow. Once we've finished off from this position, I use like I do in the second form. From here, this as the close, rather than the simplified version of it. That's not important, but it's down to personal preference. But the next 3 elbows are an understanding of what can happen in a fight. Again, I've used my elbow, and from this position, so I need the Biu to there. So if I've hit somebody again, I'm using the Biu to find out, to fire out. If from here there is nothing there, I'm not in any, I go with a Biu, I don't make a contact with anybody with an arm, I Biu out again. These are almost like a man style type Biu. So I'm actually searching out, I'm not in control, but again I'm covering my elbow, I'm protecting my elbow, and from here, from the inner gate, outer gate boundary, Biu now. More like a Biu style man style type thing. So from here, then close. The second one, I do the elbow, I clear. Now at this point, if somebody stops me and I catch a hold of the elbow, I lap and strike high. This goes to a man style. Return back to my centre line, clear the centre line. The next one I do the elbow, I do the Biu style man style, and I connect, and when I lap, I catch more the wrist. That's when I fire down low and come out. So this is a distinction. If I throw an elbow into something, if I hit them or miss them, or they move away, then I will then Biu. If I Biu into them, there's nothing there, then I will Biu again. If I Biu and come out and catch the elbow, I strike high. If I catch the wrist, I strike low. Because if you catch somebody's wrist, you cannot hit them in the head, because all they have to do is move away. Now the next three parts are starting off. Once you've done the elbows, you go and the next step is the ganser. Double ganser. Again, this is where I tend to do my ganser slightly different than most people. I use the ganser in this level of understanding is a more of an envy technique. It's more slightly defensive envy technique than we'll be talking about another time. But what I'm looking at is here, if I'm entering in, I'm looking to come off a foot and I'm looking to step in with a ganser in a more of an offensive jam style. So it's, but they are going at 45. So what I do is that is going this direction, that's going in that direction. The upper hand comes inside, I load my leg, I go out at 45 from my hip. I change, out 45 from my hip. Change my hands, load my heel, fire out, energy from my hip. So the elbows are on about on the same level, but the energy is going out at 45 from your heel. Change, load, fire out. Change, load, fire out. Try to visualize here that you've got an attack would be coming straight down your centre line. So what you're doing is you go into your outer gate boundary, and from your outer gate boundary, firing across your centre line at a 45-degree angle, going straight out. Load the leg and change from your outer gate boundary, out 45 degrees, straight out. Straight out 45, straight out 45. I'm always in the mind of going into people. I do not have a mind to come across people. If you come to me, if you come across people and they have skill and sensitivity, then you're leaving yourself vulnerable to people with skill and sensitivity. You should always be thinking of higher levels of people with fighting skills, not just the guy on the street. So when I start off, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, from here to the lower arm, circle to the outer gate, inner gate boundary, back to centre line. So recover your centre line, calm view, clear your centre line. This is very similar to what we'll be doing on the dummy. I'll talk about it afterwards. Begin with the dummy in separately because it goes in and across, goes in and across, goes in and across. Load the heel and in. Load the heel and in. Right, next section is the mansell. So from here, with the mansell in this part, it's more from this position up, this position up, this position up. So what we're looking at is almost like an extended bouncer. So what we're looking at is that, because the way the bomb, this is not much different to that. It's just that I've got the intention of lifting and extending the forearm in one movement. Again, it's the mansell is similar in one way to a bouncer. We can use it in a few different ways. So see, I've already mentioned it, almost like using this view coming from the elbow or on the inner gate of the gate boundary, covering to the centre line and attacking out. But in this section, to me, it's more about understanding 180 degrees and changing. From here, if I'm over there fighting somebody over here, and I hear something behind me, I need to get that there fast. Get my hands in loose up. So what I'm looking at is from here, covering from my hip area, from using a straight arm, up and up. So from here, it's going straight out. Because from here, that can get there before the eyes can. So this is what I'm practicing. It's more relaxed. It's just an idea from here. I cannot make the decision and just come through more like what people call a fact set. Because you don't know at what level they're going to be punching you at. If you go across at this side and somebody's punching in at this level, you're going to have a problem. So from here, because I don't know, all I'm doing from here, from this position, is putting an arm up, from here, putting an arm, getting this arm as quickly as possible into position. Right, so looking at the mansell, because again the mansell comes, again we've got, there's three parts of Biu Gee that is focused on. Is the elbow, the mansell, but then the Biu Gee now. Biu Gee, now we're talking about the Biu Gee a little bit longer. This is it, this is aspect of it. So look at here, so this mansell is what I use. I tend to use this mansell from here, from my outer gate boundary to my covering my centre line. I tend to use this as more of an offensive entry technique. Rather than using the double guard, I tend to use the mansell from my hip, covering my outer gate boundary to my centre line, attacking my opponent. But here it's a defensive mechanism coming from all the way from one side straight through the other side. I can get my arm there. I can, if somebody's behind me about to attack me, it's the quickest thing I can get something there, and then I can see what's happening. So this is why it's important. So it's 1, 2, 3. Defensive jab set, return there. Now what we're looking at is the next part that I do slightly differently. I do the same as two different people. When I was first taught this, I was told to relax the hand out into almost a Fuchs-out position, and then return it with a strong defensive jam set. Relax it out, defensive jam set. Relax it out, and then bring it back strong. And then I was showing another method by what you do is it's almost like an extension from the Hun cell in Chum cell, is you're using this Hun cell with a strong action, and then just relax it back to the centre line. Strong Hun cell, relax it back to the centre line. Strong Hun cell, relax it back to the centre line. Now I use both. So what we're talking about is this. There's an understanding of these two energies that we're using. So from here, it's a turn-in with the Hun cell. And then from here, it's a strong return to the centre line using the defensive jam cell back. So Hun cell, defensive jam cell, Hun cell, defensive jam cell, Hun cell, defensive jam cell. And then using a tap and view to clear your centre line and attack your opponent. So this is an energy, an understanding energies in the arm. This is where again it comes up later in the dummy when we start using a cow cell, what you call a cow cell, and so you're looking at these opposing energies. Whether it's using it as a top cell, or you can, it's not much of a difference using it. We'd be changing the top to a defensive jam cell. But it's these energies that we're looking at and to actually develop strong energies using a fixed elbow position. I am not waving the arms about. You're looking from a fixed elbow position, Hun cell. From a fixed elbow position, defensive jam cell. Hun cell, defensive jam cell. Hun cell, defensive jam cell. I've talked about in the first form how it's almost like a GAN cell energy. If you're thinking of the contact on the arm here, it's more like using it this way, and using this part of the forearm to control, and using this part of the forearm to come back. So it's not done relaxed, it's done very strong, fixed elbow position. So a defensive jam cell, Hun cell, defensive jam cell. Always being aware of your centre line, and then finishing off, protecting your centre line by clearing it and attacking your opponent's centre line. Now the next part is the Biu cells. Again, the Biu, I just do 3. 1, 2, 3. So I like keeping this idea of threes in left hand first. To a Biu cell, man cell, defensive jam cell, and out. So you're just looking at it. One Biu, then understanding. It's almost like man cell, this asking type attacking. And to a Biu cell, 3, out, up, back. Now the next part, I was originally taught just close the hands out, around and up. I added a little bit of an exercise in here, a little bit of a dynamic tension exercise. that I picked up from a friend who picked it up from another style when he was living in Hong Kong. And then what I do here is I finishing off, because I look at Chum Biu and Biu Gee as really just one form, 3 parts of one form. That swing Chum is just one form. But we're looking at here, so open the hands. Now from here, I start a dynamic tension exercise and slowly grabbing, fingers coming in as a grab. Till I grab until they close, till my hands are in the fixed elbow position. From here, I just straighten the arms. From here, I come out. Next, what I do is actually this. It's not so much a circling punch from here. I'm relaxing to this point. I'm relaxing to be fixed elbow position. So what I'm actually doing now is my punch is just a tension in this position. So I'm tensing. The lifting is mainly coming up from the body. It's up off the leg. From the heel, the knee and the hip, through the body, lifting. This is similar to the lifting kick energy from Chum Biu. So this lift up off the floor and the kick we're now utilising as a lifting punch in Biu Gee. So the first part is a dynamic tension exercise. Just again, start strengthening the grabbing, the grip in the hands. So you look slowly. The slower you can do this, the better. Fixed elbow position from here. 1, 2, relax it, and lift using the body. So this is from here, out, the side, punch, open, vertical palm, down. Tension, and relax it out, and we get turn, fixed elbow position, punch, lift up from the floor, and then palm. Why I do, from here, this, what I'm doing this for, is, again, I'm isolating a new muscle group. What I'm looking for at this point is I've understood the turning energies from the hips and this part of the stomach and the back, so the side arms and the side of the hips. Now what I want to try to focus on is to isolate the muscles that are involved, mainly just around the shoulder, so bring more of this action. So I'm looking at this action here, so it's more this top part rather than the middle part. So again, by understanding this, the rotation around the heels and the hips, the lower part of the stomach and the back, now the upper part of the stomach and the back, I've got exercises that help me to isolate and improve the energy that I can create in these. And these then come together later on in the form. So by doing this is not, in reality, you'll be using a grab this way. You will not do it the same way. So it's out, back, out, lifting, punch, out, and finish. This ending part, there's a lot of controversy, but there's no, I leave it pretty much up to the individual. I like the way I was first shown, the way I was first shown it by Chum. And it's the idea from here, it's just more relaxed, out, 2, 3, and then down, 2, 3, stretch, and then from here, the hand from the bottom punches, 1, 2, 3, and finish the form. I've seen variations, and I understand where they're coming from, but I don't particularly like them. To me, I can understand them, but to me, it completes the system. If you understand Wing Chun as one whole system, we start off with a lot of tension exercises that are like warm-up techniques. And now if we think of this almost as a warm-down technique. And so it's, I've heard of that, let's say people come up with their own ideas, which feel free to do so. To me it's much more, I like, because this idea of warming down is quite a modern principle or concept or understanding. It's only really since the age of professional athletes that we've actually heard this term of warming down. That has become more commonplace. But I think it's something that at the end, once you've practiced all your forms, at the end of the forms, then you need to loosen off because you've done a lot of heavy exercises, or you should have been doing a lot of exercises in the body, so it's like telling you to cool down, to warm down. But also it finishes off the form nicely in a way that from here in Sulam Town, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're looking at from here, we're punching from the Wusa. In Chum Q, we're punching from a lower hand. Now in Biu Gee, we're punching from the floor. So to me it goes right back to what I talked about in lesson 1. Ask any of my students What is lesson 1? Punch them. So what we're saying at the beginning of Sulam Town, punch. At the end of Sulam Town, punch. End of Chum Q. If your hand's down, punch. End of Biu Gee. If you're down and your hands are almost on the floor, you can still punch. You punch from wherever you are. And it's as simple as that. Again, looking back over you do all 3 forms, you've done some exercises, so you need a little bit warming down. I'm not opposed to anything that anybody else does, but when you're looking at, to me, the forms are there for you to understand yourself. So that's why, especially with the first 2, we're looking at very precise and strict requirements for the stance and structure. Whereas in Biu Gee, it's a lot more relaxed, because it's a lot more thinking about application, rather than just the structures and the function.